Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Poppy wants to play and she just bumped the tripod. Okay, we'll see how this goes. So as I was saying, welcome back to Novel Idea. My name is Dia, and today we are doing a Friday Reads.
You're being a pill. Why are you being a pill?
Why? So, welcome to Friday Reads. This is where I just talk about what I have completed in reading for the week and also let you know what I'm in the middle of. Are you done? Are you done? Okay, so I am going to let you know. So I completed 9 books / short story novella type things. Poppy, out from under the tripod. Go on. So we'll see if Poppy lets me get through this. All right. So the first book that I want to talk to you about is When Women Were Dragons, and this is by Kelly Barnhill. And this was my least favorite read of the week. I thought that it was going to be more of a fantasy kind of novel. It ended up being very much a Rage Against the Machine social commentary about the treatment of women in America throughout the decades. And I just was not expecting that. And so the reason that I didn't like it may very well be that. I ended up giving this a 70%. That's how much I didn't like it. I just wanted something that was much more of a celebration of where women have moved to. There are certain women in particular that have really led that charge. And I would have liked to have celebrated that in this book, but that's not what it was. So it got a 70% from me. All right. And then I read Maggie Stiefvatter's Dream Thieves, which is the second book in the Raven cycle. And I don't know that I'm going to go on in this. This book got really weird. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. For me, it just got a little too strange. And this particular book focused on one of the least likable characters in the series. And so it was hard for me to finish it because it was focusing on a character that I have no love for. I don't know if I'll continue. I love Maggie Stiefvatter's writing, and so it's definitely not her writing. It's the subject matter for me, and I ended up giving this a C+. It is 78% for me. The premise of the book is basically that there are dreams. The unlikable character is able to bring things out of the dream into reality. There are little things that become big things, and he really just goes whole hog into it. It's all about his wants, his desires. It was hard all around. There was a character that I liked from the last book that I didn't like in this book, and really went off the deep end. So yeah, I don't know if I'll continue it or not. There's so many other things that I really want to read, so I don't know if I'll do more with that one. So Dream Thieves, Maggie Stiefvatter, 78%, C+. And then I read Enterprise, and this was for BookTrek 2022. It was Enterprise, the first adventure, and I actually listened to this on audio. It was Spock and Sulu that were reading the book, which was really fun to have the two of them. Okay, Poppy. Sorry, you guys. So it was Spock and Sulu that were reading the book, and it was really nice. It wasn't as deeply relational as I thought it was going to be, because I figured, since it was like the impetus of this crew coming together, that there would have been a lot more relationship development. It was hard to not have that development of character, that development of relationship, and the sense of imminent danger that you get in the TV show also didn't really happen in this story. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my least favorite book that I read. So this one for me was also a C+. It was a 79%. Really glad that I read it. Happy to take part in BookTrek and support that, because I loved Star Trek as a child growing up. So, and then I read An Elderly Lady Must Not Be Crossed. And this was for Women in Translation Month. And it's by Helene Tursten, and was translated from the Swedish. This was the second book in An Elderly Lady series by Helene. So I thought that it was going to be like this, like 6 little vignettes of these people that have died along in her life, and explaining this like to the detectives, because that's actually what it says on the back of the book. But that's not what it was. It was a murdered man that she had found, and there was a little bit about her background and possibly why this body was of key significance that she found it. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but yeah, the rest of the book was basically her trying to keep the detectives off of her back and finding a family in her extreme old age. Found family is always it's kind of one of my buzzwords. So it's about her finding family and kind of coming home to make sure that this family is taken care of, and then continuing with her own life, but knowing that she has people that care about her and that she cares about. And it was a lovely, lovely story. This one was a B for me. I think that it's difficult with books in translation. You wonder if that's really the way that it would read if you were reading it in the original language. An Elderly Lady Must Not Be Crossed, and it was wonderful. It was a good read. The next 3, actually, I think I'm going to do a separate video for, so I'm just going to mention them here because they are for Faustathon, and I have thoughts, and I want to talk about them a little bit. So the first one is Dr. Faustus, A Tale in 5 Acts by Christopher Marlowe. And It's the story of a doctor who wants to be able to continue on finding cures, getting knowledge, and doesn't want to die. And so it's that story basically of him making a deal with the devil to be able to live longer and do all these things that he couldn't do possibly in one lifetime. And then I read 2 versions of Faust that are like modern retellings. And the first one that I read was The Devil and Tom Walker, and that's by Washington Irving. And I read it because Christy Lewis from Dostoevsky in Space, who is one of the hosts, was reading it. And I thought, okay, I'll pick that up. And it is frightening. Washington Irving does just the right amount of oh my gosh kind of feeling. I really liked it. It was a little funny and a little edge of your seat kind of feeling, and I really enjoyed it. So we'll talk more about that if I do a separate video for just my Faustathon reads. And then the last one that I read has been my favorite so far out of all of my Faustathon reads, and that is Eric by Terry Pratchett. So all 3 of these are A- reads, but Eric is the highest of the A-minuses. I just thoroughly enjoyed my time in Discworld with death. It was very fun. And so I'll talk more about that one too, hopefully very soon. Okay, so these last 2 were my very favorite for the week. All of these were quick reads. There wasn't a single one on here that was a long, Dream Thieves was probably the longest. So all of these were fairly quick. These last 2 were really short, I think like less than 150 pages. One was The Housekeeper and the Professor, and this is by Yoko Ogawa. I didn't know quite what to expect. This is for Women in Translation Month. It was a little like 50 First Dates, if you've ever seen that movie. Basically, this professor has lost his memory due to an accident, and he was a math professor before he lost his memory. And now he kind of has an 80-minute tape that is in his head. And after that 80 minutes, everything resets, and he has not been able to keep a housekeeper as a result of this. Anything after 1975. And I think it was like February of 1975 or something like that. But this housekeeper who is telling our story is hired, and she has a young son who is 10 years old, and it takes a little while for her to develop a sense of well-being around the professor. But once she does that and her son begins to join her at the professor's house, it becomes this beautiful study of what the human spirit is capable of when not seen as handicapped, when not seen as diminished simply because of one little defect. It was this slow, quiet, just humble story of how the professor and this young boy connect through baseball, and something that is so mundane as far as math goes to this little boy, it's mundane to him, becomes just this world of wonder, and loves to see the professor talk about what he loves and just to come alive in that. And he has a way of explaining things that make everything good and understandable and wondrous, and just it was just beautiful. I just loved it. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, you guys. I tend to read these modern novels just wondering when it's gonna take a turn for the worse, and it didn't. It just didn't. It was lovely. So this was a strong A for me. I gave this a 96% and would recommend it. So The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, and like I said, little book. You guys could finish it easy, easy. And then I also read The Shadows, which is the graphic novel. Let me go get it. No, you stay. You stay. Stay. It's okay. I'm just grabbing some. Okay. The Shadows by Zabus and Hypolite. And Zabus wrote it, Hypolite did the drawings, in case you were wondering about that. This is the story of a refugee boy who survives the ordeal of escaping and of running and trying to save his life and his little sister's. It's down here. We don't have names. This story, you guys, I finished it and I just closed it and I sat there just absorbing, because it feels like it should be a historical fiction. But what it actually is a modern day memoir, because this is what still goes on with refugees in this modern day and age. It was really hard to read. He's sitting in a room trying to gain passage into this new country, and he's being treated like a prisoner and is being interrogated and is being held in a compound. And at the end of the story, there's still no definite that he'll ever get out of the compound. And he's a young boy. And I know that this is such a touchy subject for so many people right now. But I just want to say that this will at least give you some empathy and sympathy for the people who had no choice in it was survive or die. And that's the only reason why they are even running. It's the only reason why they need asylum. It was just so good. Beautifully told, well written. A+ for me, and I hope that you guys have a chance to pick it up and read it, because wow, One of the things that I really appreciated about this is that it goes over the commonalities that we have as humans, and also how it is so easy to erase humanness just simply by not giving adherence to and value to someone's story. Yeah, it moved me, Bob. Thank you, Alli from Allison's Pages. Thank you for telling us about it. I've been thinking about it nonstop since I put it down. That is all I read this week. I am in the middle of Inkdeath, which is the third book in the Ink Heart trilogy, and really feeling immersed in a fantasy world. So I'm really enjoying that. I am also reading The Summer Book by Tove Jansson, and it's wonderful. I've started reading Flowers of Mold. Seong-Nan might be the author. I'll put a picture up. That is it from me this week, you guys. We are going to be heading to Montana for a little getaway. My husband actually has to work over there, but we're gonna stay some extra days, have a little summer getaway. We haven't been anywhere since since we moved across the country. Where we're going is just a couple of hours away from us. It'll be fun. So what are your plans for the weekend? This is just water, by the way. I have a mother-in-law that tells me, since I can't drink wine, that I should drink whatever I'm drinking in a wine glass. I take it to heart when she tells me things like that. I hope that you all have a lovely weekend, that you have had a great week of reading. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Thanks.